What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be sharing my vegan story and also some tips and tricks for new vegans to succeed on a plant-based diet. About 3 years ago, I worked at a farm camp during the summer of 2017, and I was still eating meat at the time. I was still eating all animal products, but I began to have a little bit of a change of mindset. So people used to say things like, I don't eat meat regularly, but I eat meat here because I know that the animals had a good life. And even back then I was still eating meat, like I said, but that argument kind of struck me as a little ingenuine or nonsensical, because as I saw it, even if the animals were treated well, which they were very well, they were happy animals while they were alive, I can't imagine a good life being one in which you trust someone to feed you and to care for you your whole life, and then you get slaughtered at the end of your life by that same person. That to me seemed ingenuine, and even at the time I was eating meat, so this was just the beginning of my mindset shift. Then fast forward to about 4 or 5 months later, I was back in New York. I was in my junior year of college. With my buddy, I went to the Prospect Park Zoo. And this is in Brooklyn. It's in pretty much the biggest park in Brooklyn. Prospect Park is like the central park of Brooklyn. And we went to the zoo there, and we saw this emu. And it was kind of looking at us and like jolting around, sticking its head through the fence. And it kind of seemed to me like it really wanted to escape. It didn't want to be there. It was begging for me to let it out. And that might sound a little crazy, but that's how I felt at the time. And so the next day I was in my dining hall, and I kind of just decided, you know what, I'm just not gonna eat meat anymore. I don't really need to. I had kind of heard the arguments, I had agreed with the arguments. My sister had been a vegetarian for a long time growing up. So I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna let it go. And so after that, I was a vegetarian for a while. I did eat fish a little bit for a few months, and that stopped when I was in Japan on a choir trip. In March of that year. We were having this traditional Japanese dinner, and they brought out these little shot glasses of a few tiny thin fish, and they were still alive. And the idea was you were supposed to pour, I think, vinegar or something to start the killing process. It was pretty much poison. And you were supposed to pour this on top of the fish, and as they squirmed and kind of like perished in pain, you were supposed to take the shot and eat the fish. And that was when I realized, like, no, I really need to stop eating fish completely, and so I did. Later that same year, I was taking an animal ethics class, and I really heard all of the arguments in support of veganism thoroughly. We went through so many sides of the argument: hunting, factory farms, all of it. Seriously, like 10, 11, 12 different topics of animal ethics. And I really got a feel for it. I was still a vegetarian at the time. I was not yet a vegan, but I had begun to experience some negative effects. And I don't at all blame the diet. Clearly, I'm still a vegan, and now I feel happy and healthy and energetic all the time. But back then, I didn't know what I was doing. And I started to be really lethargic. My mind started to be foggy, not work as well. And I didn't know at all what I was doing. Slowly over time, I realized I should have been taking this or that supplement. I should have been eating more. I should have been eating more of this or that. And I learned it all on my own. I went through the ringer pretty much. As time went on, I knew the horrors of the dairy industry. I knew the horrors of the egg industry. And I slowly cut those things out. I cut out dairy first, milk. I stopped drinking milk completely. I stopped eating cheese. And eventually I was just what I called myself, an egg vegan, and eventually that stopped as well, because I realized I really don't need to be eating eggs. I can just transition completely, and so I did. And since then I've been completely vegan. That was about a year and a half ago, and at this point I couldn't be happier with my decision. But if I could do anything for you today, giving you some advice that I wish I had had at the beginning of this process to make it a whole lot easier, then I feel like I'll be doing something good. So the first thing I want to talk about is eating enough. This is probably the biggest thing that caused me any grief at the beginning of my process as a vegetarian and then as a vegan, just not eating enough. When you're eating meat, the calories are much more dense. They're full of fat, and fat just tends to have higher calories. On the other hand, plant-based foods, especially if you're trying to eat a whole food, plant-based vegan diet, plant-based foods are high in carbs, high in fiber, and pretty low in calories. That's what makes them so great for weight loss. But I didn't realize that at the time. So what I would say for you, a good thing to do at the beginning is to track your calories. You don't have to do it forever, but for your body to adjust and for your mind to start to understand what it's like to get enough calories on a plant-based diet, tracking your calories is super helpful, because you get to see, okay, what does a cup of brown rice look like in terms of calories? What is a cup of black beans? What is a cup of anything else, soy milk, any of this stuff. It all adds up, obviously, but you need to make sure you're eating enough. The fact of the matter is you're going to be eating a lot more food because of how low calorie dense plant-based foods are. But that's actually a good thing because you can feel more full without eating too much. Whereas with omnivorous diets, if you eat a lot of meat, you're going to be eating way too much calories. Or if you eat a lot of cheese, you're going to be eating way too much calories. It's just the nature of animal-based products that for the volume of food you're eating, you're going to be getting way more calories per gram or per chicken breast or whatever it is per ounce. You're going to be getting more calories than you would get of an ounce of the same food in plant-based form. So if you're eating chicken, a chicken breast is going to have way more calories than the same volume of brown rice. The same volume of brown rice will probably have something like even 3 or 4 or 5 times less the amount of calories than the same volume of chicken. So yeah, it's just going to take your mind and body a little bit of time to get used to how much food you have to be eating, because you're going to have to be eating more food. This is something I struggled with at the beginning, and hopefully if you track your calories from the beginning, it'll be a lot more simple and a lot more clear to you how much food you need to be eating, how much more quantity of food you need to be eating. At this point, it's not important to worry about macros. Macros meaning the amount of protein you're getting, the amount of carbs you're getting, the amount of fats you're getting. That is not important. What you want to be worrying about is how can I get all the calories I need, and how can I hit a base minimum protein threshold of probably 50 grams is enough for most people, maybe a little more. If you're working out, you try for like, depending on your body size, 80, 90, 100 grams of protein. But otherwise, calories in, calories out is the name of the game. And if I had known that at the beginning, I would have had high energy. I would have been feeling normal from the very start. Now, at this point, I know how many calories I need to eat, but it really doesn't matter the source of calories you're getting. As long as you have enough calories and enough of the micro and macronutrients you need, you're really not going to have any problems whether or not you're eating an omnivorous or a plant-based diet. The second thing I want to talk about here is supplementing. So the only supplement that you really need is B12, and you don't even need it that often. You should be taking something like 1,000 micrograms of B12 once, maybe twice a week. That's all you need. And for some people, they may not even need that much, but as a baseline and just to be safe, that's a good idea. I also want to talk about D3. So if you're not getting out in the sun a lot, you probably want to be taking D3. I think it's almost as important as B12, but because you can get it from the sun instead of get it from nothing like B12, it's a little bit more accessible. But still, if you're not getting out in the sun a lot, take a D3 supplement, especially in the winter if you live in a cold, cloudy place, or just a cold place where you're not going to be going outside a lot. D3 is really important for stomach health. It's really important for bone health, for so many things, for building muscle. So getting a D3 supplement will also help you feel good at the beginning instead of down the line when you're like, man, what am I missing? Is something missing from my diet? D3. The third supplement is omega-3s. Now you can get plenty of omega-3s from hemp seeds, flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts. Those are the 4 big plant-based sources of omega-3s. Now those sources come in ALA, and our body can convert some ALA into DHA and EPA, which are important for brain and heart health. But if you're not eating tons of hemp seeds or chia seeds or anything like that, then you're probably going to want to take just a low dose supplement of omega-3s. It's good for brain health. It'll make sure you're hitting all your bases. In terms of protein powder, you definitely don't need protein powder. If you're eating enough calories, you're probably getting enough protein. Protein deficiencies are apparently very rare. If you have a protein deficiency, it's probably because you're not eating enough. It's that simple. If you're eating enough calories, you're going to get enough protein. But if you're working out and you want a little boost of protein, it wouldn't hurt to buy a vegan protein powder. There are tons of them on the market. My Protein sells very cheap pea protein isolate. I would say that's the best bet for vegan protein powder. If you want something fancier, there's a brand called Vivo Life that sells really nice quality protein from a number of sources that they also heavy metal test to make sure that there's no lead or cadmium or anything like that that you don't want in your protein powders. If you're worried about hitting all your nutrients and vitamins, you can take a multivitamin. There's absolutely no shame in that. I do take a multivitamin probably once, twice, or 3 times a week. I use Diva Tiny Tabs multivitamin. Very simple, very cheap as well. You can get like 180 tabs for something like $10 or $15. So that lasts you a whole half a year. There's really no shame in it. There are a lot of omnivorous eaters that still take multivitamins, and if you're just worried about it, especially at the beginning, it really can't hurt you to take one. One of the most compelling arguments I've ever heard for the vegan diet is that you can supplement all of the benefits of an omnivorous diet. So you can supplement protein, you can supplement whatever minerals or vitamins people think you have trouble getting on a vegan diet, even though you probably don't. But on an omnivorous diet, you cannot supplement the benefits of a vegan diet. The benefits of a vegan diet being low calorie dense foods, the protection against heart disease and the reversal if you've already had heart disease, the protection against type 2 diabetes. These are all things that have been proven. And the vegan diet also has a 15% lower all-cause mortality rate than any other diet. So these are all things that you can't do unless you're eating a vegan diet, but in terms of protein and minerals and stuff like that we need, you can get all of that from supplements if you need to. Although I do believe that you can get 98% of everything you need from whole plant foods, the other 2% maybe being B12 and D3 on occasion. The next thing is eating balanced meals. Now this is really not that hard. You just want to structure your meals in your mind in this way. First, you want to put a base of carbs on there. So some type of carbs. You got potatoes, you can put rice, you can put quinoa, you can put spelt, whatever you want. Really, just some type of whole carb. Then you want to think about protein, fat, and veggies. So protein you can get from any number of places. You can get it from beans, you can get it from tempeh, tofu, you can get it from mock meats if you want. Really, any of those will do. And then for fats, you can think about putting tahini on something. If you want olive oil, you can use a little bit of that, although I recommend something more whole food based like tahini or peanut butter. And then with any meal, you can add some vegetables. You can add kale, you can add some frozen vegetables, some frozen broccoli, you can add peas, you can add really whatever you want. It's good to have vegetables in most meals. They're super micronutrient dense. They are super low in calories, so you get a really good bang for your buck with them. Obviously, everyone knows that veggies are really healthy. So get your veggies in most meals, and your carbs, your proteins, your fats, and you'll be good to go. And the last thing I want to talk about in today's video is the process of transitioning to a vegan diet. Now, I am of the belief that if you want to become a vegan and you're not someone who's all gung-ho, let me do it all at one time. I'm kind of like that, but there are a lot of people who might need more time to get acclimated, and that's okay. Take the time you need with the end goal in mind of still becoming a vegan, but take the time you need to eliminate the animal products slowly if that's how you want to do it. That's okay if it's going to mean that you're going to be a longer lasting vegan for the rest of your life. Instead of having immediately switched to a vegan diet, not knowing what you're doing, feeling terrible for 2 weeks, and then going back to eating meat for the rest of your life, blaming veganism for making you feel like shit. So I'm all for taking the time that you need. Eliminate chicken 1 week, then the next week eliminate fish, then the next week eliminate eggs, or do it over a couple weeks. Do it over a couple months if you need to. But whatever the case, keep the end goal in mind, becoming a full vegan and staying that way for a long time, rather than let me try this out for a week or 2 weeks and have problems and then go back to eating meat forever. While transitioning, it is also completely okay to eat mock meats. If you want to feel like you're eating meat still, but you don't want to eat meat because of the ethics or because of the health or whatever it is, it's okay to eat mock meats for a while. Yes, in time it will probably be better if you phase out the mock meats, you introduce more whole plant foods. But if you need to be eating mock meats and that's how you're going to stay vegan, then by all means do it. It's okay and you don't need to feel ashamed of it. Another big thing is that the vegan diet is full of fiber, and that's a really good thing actually. Fiber is super good for heart health, fiber is super good for bowel health, but at the beginning your body might be a little confused. If you've been eating 15 grams of fiber a day for the past 30 years and then all of a sudden you introduce 70, 80 grams of fiber in one day, yeah, your body's going to be a little bit out of whack for only a little bit of time. It will get better. But what you can do, instead of upping your fiber intake to 80 or 90 grams of fiber in one day, what you can do is you can start a little smaller. Eat some white rice instead of some brown rice or quinoa. Eat things that will not bump your fiber up so drastically in one day that your body will be so shocked that it doesn't know what to do and that you start having problems. So just increase your intake of fiber slowly. A lot of people give that advice, and I think it's a really good piece of advice. I didn't do it. Again, I'm kind of an all or nothing person, and it did result negatively for me for a little while. But again, there have been studies that have shown that specifically with stuff like beans, after 6 weeks of consuming beans daily, whatever gastrointestinal distress you had at the beginning of that period of time will likely by the end of the 6 weeks be completely gone. Your stomach will be not only feeling better, but healthier than it was beforehand. And the last thing here, guys, is to have go-to meals. This is also a big reason why I think I wasn't able to eat enough at the beginning, because I didn't know what to eat. Just have a little repertoire. You don't need tons of foods. Nuts and seeds are really good if you need calories. They're super calorie dense, but try not to go overboard with them because they are filled with fat, which is okay in moderation, but you don't want to be eating 1,500 calories from peanuts. That's kind of a high amount of saturated fat, and it's not going to do good for you. But if you need 500 calories of peanuts, even 700 calories of peanuts or peanut butter at the beginning, that's okay, because it's helping you get your calories. It's going to help your body feel better and to feel energized like you normally would. Otherwise, things like smoothies are a really good way to get calories. Drinking your calories on a vegan diet is a really easy way to get everything you need in there, and also to get a lot of healthy foods. If you make smoothies in the morning and you put kale in your smoothie, a cup, 2 cups, along with a ton of other fruit and seeds and nuts and stuff like that, that's so healthy. Like, I don't know any other way to get greens in the morning besides putting them in a smoothie. And they get you tons of calories too. So very easy way to get calories. Another thing is pasta. I eat a lot of pasta, specifically high protein pasta. It's a really easy way to get tons of protein. It's a really simple meal. It doesn't take long at all to prepare. So meals like that, grain bowls, just some brown rice or quinoa, some tofu or beans, some broccoli, and little tahini drizzled over it. Very easy meal, very simple, something you can go to. So meals like that, things that you can just, what do I need to eat? Okay, I'll eat a tofu scramble. Or what do I need to eat? Okay, I'm gonna make a smoothie. Stuff like that to make you feel like you have foods to eat, that you're not lost and that you're not confused about what you should be eating, and instead, because you're confused, not eating anything at all. All right, folks, thank you so much for watching. Just to give you a little overview, I did go over eating enough, I did go over supplementation, I did go over transitioning to a vegan diet, and eating balanced meals. So those are all things you want to keep in mind. If you want the specifics, of course, just go back and rewatch. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope you got something from this. I hope this can help you more easily transition to a vegan diet if that's what you want to do. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content from me, please subscribe. I will be putting out at least 2 videos per week. And I also have a cute cat if you like that. So hopefully I'll see you in the next one. And again, thank you so much for watching.